Yo, yo, yo.
What up? What up?
What up? What up? Welcome everybody to Bear Down, not Brer Down, Bear Down.
Prayer.
Bear Down Breakdown. Bear Down Breakdown podcast with your two hosts. It's your boys. Per usual, I'm Eli.
And I'm Bruce.
We are just your, two normal guys breaking down the Bears, pretty much.
That's why we're called Bear Down, Breakdown.
With random guys.
With the random
It's in the low text of
yeah,
the
you
logo.
just gotta squint.
You gotta zoom in. But no, welcome everybody to episode 6. We have a lot to talk about today. We kind of fell off for a couple weeks, so we weren't able to discuss the Roquan Smith drama, the first 2 preseason games. And then also Bruce and I we had the pleasure of riding up to Bears training camp on the 15th.
Yep. Yes, we did.
Got to see all the stars in person. That was sarcasm. No, it was great. It was a dope experience. Can't speak for Bruce, but I enjoyed it.
Oh, definitely. I had a great time.
Yeah, it was really cool, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we like I said, we have a lot to talk about. But before we break down all of that stuff, B, how you doing, bro?
I am doing okay. I came home today and I thought so I bought my son a bearded dragon, which is a lizard. Like, I don't want people to think like, Bruce bought out here buying real dragons.
Game of Thrones.
The Game of Thrones. No, we're not. I don't got a big dragon in my backyard chained up. But I bought my son a bearded dragon. It's a lizard, right? Bro, like I come home today and he's not moving. And it literally, like, I was one of those I'm that parent that's like, this is for you. If it dies. I don't care. This is life. You're gonna learn life the hard way, son. If the thing dies, that's life is. I'm one of those type parents. Bro, I came home today and that thing wasn't moving. I almost cried.
Oh no.
I almost cried.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I froze for a second. I just wanna God. This thing keeps freezing.
I almost cried, man. And what happened was I moved his cage from the basement to a bedroom, and so the humidity changed, and you gotta have it set at a certain humidity for these things, right? And so I'm learning all this stuff, but it scared me. It scared my son. My son got emotional, and I almost got emotional with him. But he's fine. He's doing okay now, and
that's all that matters.
All is well. He's not dead. He's alive. He's just not moving a lot because, like I said, he has to get that. I had to move him back into the basement so he can get familiar with it. But man, I became one of those parents. That's why I don't need a dog. I don't need a dog, bro. Because if that dog, if something happens to that dog, I'm gonna cry. Like, I'm gonna get super emotional. So yeah, man.
Yeah. That's something every pet parent goes through. Like, there's moments where I look at my dog and he's sleeping, but I'm just trying to make sure his ribs are moving, like moving up and down, make sure he's breathing.
Exactly, man.
Exactly. It was scary times.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys, now that you got a lizard though, you're probably gonna have to upgrade to a dog eventually. I feel like that might have to happen.
From a lizard to a dog, we can't just get like a gerbil in between. It gotta be a dog.
Probably, man. I mean, you usually go from like a hamster to then like a lizard to then a dog, but you straight skipped the hamster portion. You went straight to lizard.
I did.
And now, you skipped a grade. So, but
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm just warning you. Jaden probably gonna be like, all right, I'm over this lizard.
Right.
I want a dog.
Well, like, what an upgrade. How you been, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. redoing this basement. We talk about house stuff every week.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to get what I'm calling my man cave ready for football season. I got my big, beautiful TV up on the wall. I'm trying to create this new podcast studio so you see. For those of y'all who are watching live and watch me more often, you can see the backgrounds is new. I got some new stuff up there. You know, I'm trying to upgrade. You know what I mean?
I see you, bro. I see you.
Just trying to upgrade. I've always had a dream of having a man cave. Like that's as soon as I bought a house, I was like, I need a basement because that's gonna be my territory. It's gonna be
exactly.
You know, my therapeutic my therapeutic area when I need to get away. Because right now, my only area for that is the bathroom, toilet, and even that, you get your kids knocking on the door like, "Dad, what you doing? You pooping?
Right.
You dropping a deuce?
Yeah.
Okay, I can smell it. Okay,
just want to embarrass you.
Yeah,
like what you been eating,
out and
Dad?
Like, ew, it smells so bad. My kids at that age,
you been eating corn, Dad?
Everything. It's like, what died inside of you?
You been eating cabbage, Dad? Hold on. First of all, you're not about to come in my system like that. You know, take your ass in your room somewhere.
Probably TMI. I'm sorry, guys.
Come on, stop it. Every dad can relate. Every
parent can relate. That, you just at this point, you get to the point where your kids nap and you can drop a deuce in peace.
Right.
But then you get to the point where your kids don't take any more naps.
Yeah.
They talk too much. Yeah. And you can't poop in peace anymore.
Exactly. So, you gonna spray when you done? Wait, what? Who you talking to, bro?
You gonna courtesy flush? You gonna courtesy flush, right? Oh man. Oh, gotta love it. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited for this basement to come through and have you over for Bears games and
yes, sir.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. Hopefully they don't lose too much.
Well, we can't have it all, bro. We cannot have it.
And I feel like anytime we watch a game together, it's just bad luck. We're just sprinkling bad luck on the Bears.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, guys, me and Bruce witnessed the double doink together.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Our reaction, I'll never forget our reaction. It was almost like, that really happened. We had no emotions, bro.
Disbelief, man. I don't know.
That's all it was.
Yeah. It's hard to react to that without punching a hole in the wall.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's get off of that topic and let's talk about the 2022 Chicago Bears. So, Bruce and I, like I said, we had the pleasure of going to training camp on the 15th a couple weeks ago. And it was cool. I had a nice experience. Taking the shuttle bus over to Lake Forest. I thought that was kind of cool. It felt like we were going to summer camp all over again.
Right.
Yeah, they had those buses where everyone's just talking and excited. And it's like, yeah. And then House Hall, obviously that was really cool to see. I've been there once before because I had a flag football championship that I played inside of the Walter Payton Center, which they allow you to go into. So that was cool to go in and see that. If you don't know what the Walter Payton Center is, it's basically their indoor practice facility. So, if it's terrible weather outside, snowing, whatever, and they want to practice, they could practice inside.
Right.
Beautiful facility. We didn't really get to see the offices, you know what I mean? Like where all the improvements that Ryan Pace, shout out to Ryan Pace, has made on the facility. We didn't really get to see those things, but yeah, it was really cool. A lot of kid friendly stuff. Bring your kids and they'll have a lot of fun. And the practice, it's we basically baked in the sun. So for those of y'all who go next year, just know that the bleachers are literally in a position to where you have no shade. And if it's a sunny day, you're going to get cooked. Like you need to wear sunscreen probably. It's bad. But that's probably the only complaint that I have was we were just in an oven. But as far as practice goes, B, what were some of your what did you see at practice?
Honestly, I was looking at of course Justin Fields. And one of the things that you mentioned, and it's subtle. It's very subtle when you don't see it live. But one of the things that you mentioned was the difference between his throws and the throws of the other quarterbacks. Trevor Siemian and who's the other guy?
Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman. Just the release and the speed on the ball that Justin Fields had. And you don't notice those things until you see it up close. Another thing is when Justin Fields came out, and this everybody's like, oh, Bruce, stop being a meathead. Whatever. I liked it. He came out, he shook each of the offensive linemen's hands when he came out. And I don't know if that's something, I mean, that was our first practice, but that we attended live, and I don't know if he does that every day, but I
think I heard someone said that he does that every practice.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool, just to, acknowledge the guys that that's it's their job to protect. Another thing is the size of some of these players. Those offensive linemen are some big dudes. Tevin Jenkins is I don't even know. I mean, is a massive human being. Like these dudes are huge. It was good to see. You saw the rapport or the connection that Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney has together. Even in this is practice, but he looked for Darnell Mooney a lot during the scrimmage at practice, and so you see the connection that both of those guys have together. So a lot of my time was just spent watching Justin Fields. I love how he commands the attention. Like the crowd, I mean, let's be honest, the crowd was there to see Justin Fields. They was there to see when he came onto the field. They gave him a huge cheer. It was one play where they were down at the inside the 10 and he couldn't find anybody, so he scrambled. And, he ran it into the end zone. You can't hit anybody during these practices, and they definitely don't want to hit him. But when he ran into the end zone, he got this big cheer as if like, he made it like, oh, my God, everybody was cheering for him. So you can just tell that, a lot our hopes are with Justin Fields. And I saw that in practice, how everybody you just gravitate towards that young man. Like you look and see his every move, like just everything. Like he commands a lot of attention. And so that was interesting. That was very interesting to see.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the handshake thing, because it talks about how he is not just as a quarterback or as a player, but as a teammate and as a person. And of course, we hear from the players all the time about how much they love him, but that was just a testament to his character as a teammate. I believe that was the first practice, and it was something that I noticed where Tevin Jenkins lined up solely at right guard.
Yeah.
And obviously he's pretty much projected to be the starting right guard for the Bears this season. He started in the Seahawk game. Then they pulled him up, or they kept him in there for a while to see how he would do. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the starters against Cleveland, if they're going to play at all. But it seems as though they really like Tevin Jenkins at the right guard position, which makes a lot of sense.
Definitely.
He's a mauler. You don't see a whole lot of left tackles that are maulers. So, and he was scouted as really strong, short arms. His footwork wasn't super clean. That's all stuff that's like you need as a tackle. You need long arms for a tackle. Your footwork needs to be clean for a tackle. So it just makes sense that they're putting him at guard. which also speaks to the fact of how good this coaching staff is at evaluating their own talent, which something we did not see with the previous regime, previous coaching staff.
Right.
So that was interesting. I took note of that. And also, that was the practice where Cole Kmet came back after being gone for a little while.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of nice plays with Justin Fields during practice. And that's when I kind of saw, like, okay, Cole Kmet. I made before training camp, before all that, I made a bold prediction that Cole Kmet was going to be second in receiving. I don't think that's a bold prediction anymore. I think that's a foregone conclusion that dude is going to eat this year behind Darnell Mooney as a second receiver that Justin Fields is definitely most comfortable with, which is great. Like that's awesome. We took that kid in the second round. It was our first pick in that draft. He was a top tight end taken in that draft. So you want to see him be that number one tight end that Justin Fields can rely on. And I think not only in that practice was that proven, but also in the game. In the game against Seattle, where they had that beautiful tight end screen where he could, had a first down the first play of the game. But yeah, I mean, obviously I noticed as well that the offensive line struggled in that practice. Like you said, they're not allowed to hit the quarterback, so they're not technically not allowed to have sacks, but there would have been a lot of sacks if they were allowed to hit Justin Fields in that practice. Because there are a couple times, and I don't know if Justin, it just seemed like no one was getting separation. And I heard someone also relay that as well. One of the fans that was watching, they were like, man, these guys can't separate, because you just saw Justin Fields hold that ball for a really, really long time.
Right.
Probably a lot longer than Luke Getsy wants him to hold on to it. But this season's going to be interesting. Now that was practice, obviously. And then we had the 2 games to kind of go off of and see how the starters are going to may play, how Luke Getsy is going to be play calling, their personnel. What were your thoughts on the 2 games?
One of the things that, me, bro, I'm not a exhibition preseason guy. It's hard for me to just watch the first string play, a certain amount of plays, and then that's it. But you root for the guys that's trying to make the team and things of that nature. One of the things that's really standing out to me within these preseason is this draft class. I'm very, very impressed by, 1 through 7. 2 through 7. And all the draft picks that Ryan Poles, that these guys are really showing that you can possibly have a handful of guys from this draft class make an impact on your team, right? And we understand the how limited this roster is. And so it's 2 things that stand out. I'm gonna talk about of course I'm talking about the draft class, but another thing that stands out that I want to also talk about is how hard these guys play. Every guy on this roster, like they play hard. But I want to get back to the draft class. It just seemed like in both games you see this draft class, the individual players making plays. Jaquan Brisker in that game against the Chiefs, he was just a man possessed. He looks like he belongs. He looks like he's ready to start day one. You saw Kyler Gordon force a fumble in the Seattle game, right? Velus Jones, who has an opportunity to be an outstanding punt returner. You saw that big punt return that he had. I think it was for like either 48 or 49 yards. Braxton Jones is starting at left tackle. To running back, Ebner,
Tristan Ebner.
He scored a touchdown. And we made fun of the punter. Remember, we drafted a punter and we made fun of him. But this dude is like, he's having a great preseason. I think he had like 6 punts inside he's had like 6 punts inside the the opposing team's 15. Like these guys are really are really standing out. Who was the kid that they was talking about? They've been talking about. He's an undrafted free agent from Wisconsin, I believe. Jack Sanborn.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
linebacker.
yeah, the linebacker. He's had a really good preseason. One of the guys that's really standing out, and I don't think, you gotta really know this roster. And we saw him walking in practice, and we was like, who in the heck is number 69? But the 7th round pick, Carter, I think his name
Carter.
is Jatir Carter. Like he could look, he's a 7th round. I get it, out of Southern University, but the thing with him is that he coming out of, especially in the Senior Bowl, he had a great Senior Bowl. He's out of Southern University, so you really don't know. But one of the traits is that he had a mauler's mentality. You talked about Tevin Jenkins being a mauler, and this kid is the same thing. But he's had a solid preseason, and if he can make the roster as a backup, think about that. I mean, think about drafting a kid that's out of the 7th round. He's proven himself to have a great preseason game, preseason. And if he could make the roster and especially make it as a backup, like that's huge. So it's guys that this draft class, they're making plays, they're really standing out. And then I want to get to just the effort on this team. Like I really think it's going to be hard to blow this team out because of the effort that they play. I'm not saying that that's going to translate into them into having like a Super Bowl season or even a playoff season, but effort and hard work and that stuff goes a long way, man. It goes a long way. And you see that this team as a whole, they play hard. They play hard. They play as if they have something to prove. And if you think about this roster, the majority of them do. So maybe that has a lot to do with it, but I am very impressed with how hard these guys play. So, man, those are the two things that really stick out to me: this draft class and just how hard they play as a team.
Yeah, I agree with all of those statements. And to kind of piggyback off of your play hard point on this team, it beautifully coincides with the way that Ryan Poles has built this roster, because he's, like I've said before, you can't underestimate competition and signing a bunch of guys who have something to prove. Again, he's all the dudes that he's signed in free agency, bunch of 1 and 2 year contracts. So these are guys that are either looking to, get a longer contract with this team next year, this offseason, or another team. They're putting on tape basically almost a whole roster, not just the draft class, but almost all of these dudes are putting on tape for their resume for next year.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it that way, that these guys are literally basically trying out, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
So, and then you couple that with the way that Coach Eberflus wants these guys to play and wants them to hustle and run hard. And you hear about the what's the term that he uses? I mean, he has a HITS philosophy, obviously, the acronym, and I think they call them whiffs. Is that what he calls them? Or loafs? He calls them loafs.
Okay.
Basically, when they watch film,
Your sound went out.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, my computer's acting really dumb, so I apologize in advance.
Problem. We were talking about loaves.
Yeah, loaves. So, basically, the way this regime looks through. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Basically, the way this regime looks through film and every single player, at least from what I've heard, and I've heard Olin Kreutz and McKee,
Jason McKee.
They have their own podcast called the No Name Football Podcast, and they obviously played under Lovie Smith, so they know this very well. But they put on film, and then they look at each individual guy. they're like, okay, that's a loaf. If you slacked on a play, if you didn't run hard enough, if you didn't do what you were supposed to do in terms of effort, they will call you out and then they'll give you a loaf.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a certain amount of loaves every single game. And it's something that obviously, if you're a player, you don't want to be called out publicly for a loaf. So shout out to my cousin, Oli. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you, cuzzo.
What up, O?
Yeah. So it beautifully coincides with the way Coach Eberflus wants this team to run. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter what, the name on the back of your jersey, how many accolades you have. You better hustle your ass off. And then also with the way Ryan Poles has built this roster, I think it's beautiful. And you can really already see through, even though, yes, it's just preseason, but you could see how that's kind of coming together for the Bears.
Definitely.
And then another thing I've noticed, the rookie class, you touched on it already, but Braxton Jones is looking really solid as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can see why Ryan Poles really believes in that kid and drafted him in the 5th round. And I had him as my number 2 on my top 10 most important Bears, if you don't remember. So it's been really nice to see him kind of emerge as the starting tackle.
Right.
Bayless Jones has been great. Tristan Ebner, man, that kid.
Yeah, man.
The kid reminds me a lot of the way he runs and his one cut kind of running style reminds me a lot of Matt Forte.
Okay, yeah, I was about to, yeah.
But he's fast though. Like the kid has got some burners. So you look at him and you think, like, could he be the second best running back on the squad?
Yeah, we thought it was.
Yeah. I had Khalil Herbert on my top 10 most important Bears too, because I thought that with this being David Montgomery's contract year, I don't see the Bears re-signing him next year.
Right.
I see them moving on. So I thought Khalil Herbert would kind of emerge as the starter, but Tristan Ebner, man, if he can take that jump and kind of create some explosive plays for this offense, look out for that kid. Because who knows?
And think about that, man. Again, like this is all so Poles, he's really stuck to wanting to build this roster through the draft. And so if you can get a running back, if you can get a tackle, if you can get a starting safety, if you can get a starting cornerback, if you could, you know what I'm saying? Like if you could get that through the draft, like that just makes your who you are as a GM, because we praise the GMs that knows how to draft and knows how to develop their roster through a draft. Like we love to see that, especially in football. And so if Ryan Poles, if he could hit on his first draft, if he can hit on that with 3 to 4 guys, like, oh my God, what going into next year, like that's just going to be huge. That's going to be huge for this team, man.
Yeah. And another couple things that I've noticed, especially in that Seattle game, is the play calling by Luke Getsy and how much better and just it makes sense. Like, man, that first play, that tight end screen.
Yeah.
And you saw the way that they sold it and the way that they executed in that play. And it's just like, you can tell that these dudes are just better teachers. Like, dudes are in their spot. And obviously we're going to see moments where, there's going to be a disconnect because this is a brand new offense for everybody, not just Justin Fields, for everybody. So they're going to have their moments where a receiver isn't in the right spot or, an offensive line downfield. I know they had a penalty in this game where offensive lineman was downfield. You're going to have those moments, but that tight end screen was executed so well. And to see a screen executed in Chicago so well, man, I feel like it's been so long. I feel like it's been since the Matt Forte days that we've seen screens executed correctly. But that was super dope to see. It was super dope to see Luke Getsy get Justin Fields out on the edge and rolling him out. And then on top of that, seeing Justin Fields' mechanics. He rolled out on that play. I think he had Darnell Mooney on a boot to his left. And obviously he's a right-handed thrower, so it's hard to throw with your right hand while rolling out to your left. So what did he do? He stopped, squared his feet, squared his hips and his shoulders, and darted that pass in there to Darnell Mooney. And that's something that you probably wouldn't have seen last year.
Right.
So it shows, Justin Fields' improvement in his mechanics. And then in that first game against the Chiefs, that throw to Tajay Sharp on the sideline where Tajay Sharp made that one-handed catch. That was against the Chiefs, right? Not the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the Chiefs.
Shout out to Olin Kreutz, because everyone was talking about the throw and the catch, right?
Right.
But Olin Kreutz tweeted out how Justin Fields pre-snap adjusted the protection. He saw the blitz coming pre-snap, which is something that I said that I wanted to see Justin Fields improve on, because he was not good at that last year. He saw the blitz coming pre-snap, adjusted the protection, got the throw out in time right before he got hit. It was a beautiful throw, beautiful catch. So again, something that we are seeing Justin Fields improve on from last year. And that's all I want to see this year, man.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And, if that translates to wins, if that translates, excuse me, to the Bears winning more games than a lot of people predicted, great. That's awesome. But again, wins is not the most important thing this year. I want to see what Justin Fields can do, can improve on from his rookie year to this year, because we're only going to go as far as he can go. So
true. Yeah.
But yeah.
Can we also point out that the Bears are not the worst team in the NFL? Seattle sucks. Seattle is terrible. Without Russell Wilson, like this, I feel bad for DK. I mean, I know he got his money, but
he's gonna have a long season.
Yeah, Seattle might be the worst team in the NFL, so we got that going for us. We are not the worst team. Louis Riddick, he was my favorite ESPN analyst until
that broadcast was terrible.
Oh my God,
man. That broadcast struggled.
I'm like, can we get one compliment out of Louis Riddick? Like, what did we do to you? Are you mad because you didn't get chosen or something? Like, bro, like it just seemed like he took that personal. He took that very personal. I'm like, come on, Louis, we got this both bald head, brother, and you black. Come on. I'm supposed to like you, man.
Yeah, and I like Dan Orlovsky and obviously Louis Riddick. A lot of people wanted the Bears to hire him as the GM. This past offseason, but that broadcast was just terrible. And can we talk about the stupidity of having a preseason game on a Thursday night? Like, why are you having these players on a short week in preseason?
Come on, bro. You know what the NFL is all about.
That is the dumbest thing ever. I can understand the Pro Football Hall of Fame game because that's the first game of the season.
Right.
Or the first game of the preseason. I get that. But any other Thursday night games is just
stupidity. Put the NFL decided to put Bears versus Seahawks preseason on a Thursday night. And you would think like, oh my God, who's going to watch that? But I'm pretty sure the ratings are pretty good. And the NFL owners are sitting back, ching, ching, more money in our pockets. Because that's what it's about, man. It's just about these guys. Just they don't care about these players. Like, let's put them on a Thursday night. Let's have the Bears fly all the way to Chicago for a preseason Thursday night game. Yeah, that's great.
I saw someone tweet that we should make it so that football games are called locally, kind of like how the MLB does it, where the Sox, the White Sox, and the Cubs, they have their guys who call their games,
right?
And that's what we see on TV, and that's what they should do with football because you have all these national dudes that are just they have to pay attention to like every single team.
Right.
And they don't know the intricates
Exactly.
of what this team went through in training camp, what they went through in mini camp, what who looked good in these moments and what went on in the offseason. Like they don't know these things. So they're just saying they're just talking stuff out of their ass and it just sounds dumb.
Yeah.
So I kind of like
Pretty
that idea.
much.
I mean, it's only 17 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're not doing anything. We'll call Bears games, me and you.
Right. I'll
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just give me, you don't even got to pay me millions. Just give me a couple thousand.
No, pay me millions. If I got to watch this team, if I got to call games for this team, you better pay me a cool meal.
At least one.
Tax free. Don't take taxes out my $1 million. Just give me a cool
1099 after. So,
exactly.
So might end up biting you. No, but these national people that don't know what they're talking about with the Bears, it's just it's ridiculous. It's crazy how it's so like, what did you do last year? Because whatever happened last year is going to translate to this year. It's like the Bears sucked last year. They had a toxic, culture last year. So now they expect that to be the exact same this year. It's just, it's dumb. It's dumb. It makes no sense. But anyway, Bears are 2-0 in the preseason. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Undefeated.
Yeah. I mean, it might be the only time we could say that throughout the whole 2022 season. So enjoy it.
Do you think that carries momentum going into the regular season? With this team, with a team like this, no expectations. You let's say you go 3-0 in the preseason. Do you think that momentum carries into the regular season as, hey, maybe we can
maybe we're not gonna suck.
Maybe we're not, maybe we are pretty, what do you think? For this team, I'm not talking about like a Rams who got, you know what I'm saying? They could go 0-3, Buccaneers can go 0-3. I'm talking about for a team like this. What do you think that does?
I think it does, only because it shows how well coached your team is, like your team as a whole. I think because obviously your starters only play for a certain amount of snaps, so most of these games are being played by your backups.
Right.
So when you have guys, I mean, obviously they're hungry to make, to make the team, to get a job, basically. So you have that factor. But yeah, I think it means that you're going to have a well-coached team at the very least. You might not be super talented.
Right.
You may not, have a bunch of stars, but you're going to have a team that's well-coached. And I've always said, always, especially last year, I've said, give me a well-coached defense over a star-studded defense. Like, always. I want a well-coached defense. I want a defense that knows their assignments. I want a defense. Like, how do we think those old Lovie Smith defenses were so successful? That 2010 team that went to the NFC Championship, off the backs of our defense, Brian Urlacher was past his prime. Lance Briggs was past his prime. The only one probably in his prime was Julius Peppers.
Right.
Almost everyone on that defense, Charles Tillman, like everyone was old, but we had the top defense that year. That year that defense was a monster.
It was great, yeah.
And why was that? It was because they're well coached. So I really think that, and we kind of saw that when in the first 2 preseason games, that this team is going to be well coached and they're going to play hard. And I would take that over stars any day.
Yeah.
Any day. I mean, obviously, yes, we're going to need a couple of stars here and there. A couple of big names that we can rely on, especially offensively. But yeah, I think it does translate. I think it means that we're gonna have a well-coached team.
I agree. And that goes a long way. It goes a long way because what it does is, we always talk about the culture, right? Like what a culture for an NFL team or whatever team, what that can look like. And so to develop that now in your first year, where it's just like, no, you guys are gonna work hard. We're gonna hold you accountable, and that is the culture that we're gonna set moving forward. In your tenure as a coach. and as a GM. So to see that be on display is positive for me, and that's why I asked you the question. Like, does that like what them being 2-0 and not so much the record, but just the way they're playing, And like we said, it's we don't know what that's going to translate to into the regular season, but I love the culture that's being set within this organization because you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it since since the Lovey Smith years. For me personally, I haven't seen like this. We're going to go out, we're going to play hard, and we're not just going to rely on just talent. Those Lovey Smith teams, they had the star power on defense. But they didn't have any superstars on their team. But like you said, they were well coached and they played hard. And I see this. I see this with this Bears team. So we'll see. We'll see. Like you said, we'll see what that does moving forward. But I love the culture that's being set within this organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of stars, the Bears do on defense at least have one, and his name is Roquan Smith.
Oh, okay. I thought you was talking about never mind. I can't even name. I don't even know who else is on the defense that I could joke and say. I thought you was talking about Eddie Jackson.
No, he fallen off. He fell off. Yeah, they do have a star. His name was Roquan Smith, and this is this situation that we didn't really have a chance to talk about on this podcast because of the couple of weeks that we were off. But obviously, it started as him doing a hold in, not a hold out, a hold in, where he was showing up to training camp. He just wasn't practicing. Bears put him on the PUP list. We all know he didn't have any injury because obviously he's practicing now. But they put him on the PUP list because of an injury. Basically did it as a sign of good faith so that they didn't have to fine him or anything for holding in or holding out or whatever, for not practicing. And then I forget what. And then he requests a trade.
Mm-hmm.
He requests a trade. He makes a statement publicly that the Bears have lowballed him, that they're not respecting him as a player and what he's capable of, and he feels disrespected and all of this craziness. And the Bears, what I loved about that situation was, and I think I can speak for you too, Bruce, that Ryan Poles immediately came out and talked to the media.
Yep.
The same day that Roquan Smith requests a trade, Ryan Poles showed up. He explained the situation. He didn't hide. He didn't, that famous picture of Ryan Pace looking in the media room behind that like cracked door, looking all scared. He didn't do any of that. He showed up. He told us what was going on, what he intends to do, what he wants to do, what's the plan. And he didn't hide. Then the Bears take Roquan Smith off the PUP list after that because they're now playing hardball. They're saying, hey, Roquan, if you want to come out and call us out publicly, we're not treating you with that, good treatment anymore.
Right.
Now, the Bears still didn't fine him at all for not practicing, not playing the games. And then now it comes out just recently, I believe this was yesterday or the day before, that Roquan Smith is going to play out the last year of his contract. He's not going to hold out anymore. He's not holding in. He's going to play out the rest of this year, his final year of his contract, and I guess negotiate next offseason. But that's a question mark because I don't know if that's going to happen. But B, what are your thoughts on this situation? What do you – let me start there. What are your thoughts?
Hey, man, round of applause for Ryan Poles. I tip my hat to him. Look, we hit this with these NFL players, and I get it. I get it with NFL players. These contracts, the fact that they play this sport and these contracts aren't guaranteed, and you're a hit away from, losing a bunch of money. Like, I get it. But In his first season as a GM, Ryan Poles was put to the test by probably let's say the best defensive player on this Bears roster. And I mean, he hit it out the park, man. Like he didn't back down. He did his job as a GM. He didn't give in to Roquan Smith. And there was some technicalities within the contract that, I mean, they offered Roquan Smith. They offer him, from what I'm hearing, they offer him some money, but it was some incentives that they wanted him to meet. And Roquan was like, no, I don't, certain things that I don't want to say. I'm sorry, not incentives, but they put like escalators in his contract where it was like de-escalators. Yeah, I'm sorry. Um, and Roquan Smith wasn't having it, so they was like, okay, cool. Well, we have you locked next year in that fifth option, and then we could franchise tag you. So essentially, like you still have, if you want, 2 years left for Roquan Smith. Roquan wasn't going to win this, like, and I think Ryan Poles kind of knew, like, nah, man, you're gonna play this. You're gonna play your contract out. And he didn't back down. He didn't back down. And another thing that I like, that despite, and it could get ugly. Like we've seen these contract situations with players and owners get real ugly. And though it got, I don't want to say it got personal, but Roquan wasn't happy. And it wasn't so much that, I don't think he was happy. He didn't have any personal ill will towards Ryan Poles, but I just think that because he didn't get his money, he was a little butthurt. He was in his feelings a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Poles handled that very, very well. And so, man, I just tip my cap to Ryan Poles for really, like, his first true test as a GM when it comes to these negotiations with your best defensive player, and how it was handled. And it got Roquan. Roquan just saw he wasn't going to win it, so he back in practice, and hopefully he'll be there week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah. I think he just saw that he has no leverage in this situation. Yeah. Like, you're under contract. If you want to be a free agent this upcoming year, you have to play out this contract, because if you don't, you lose eligibility to be a free agent. So, yeah, I mean, he saw that he was in a kind of lose-lose situation at that point. Yeah. But yeah, you hear of what the Bears offered him, between 90 to 95 million, and that is a lot for an off-ball linebacker. He is not, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on Roquan Smith. Listen, I seen a lot of, Roquan Smith isn't even that good tweets throughout this whole process, and I'm just like what? Like, what are you talking about? But he's definitely, I will agree, he is not $100 million good.
No.
Not for an off-ball linebacker. I mean, you look at formerly known Darius Leonard. Now that he wants to be called Shaq Leonard.
Yeah, that's weird.
But he kind of set the market for linebackers, and I think that's what Roquan wanted to do, was set the market. But you look at Shaq Leonard, and he had like 17 forced fumbles.
Yeah.
In his career, and Roquan Smith, I think, has 1.
Yeah.
He just does things, and he has, I think, a couple more sacks, and he does certain things that is beyond just a simple off-ball linebacker. I love Roquan. I think he's a great player, but he is not worth $20 million a year if you're not going to have him rush the passer. Like,
yeah, somebody mentioned, you take Roquan Smith off the team, how many more wins do the Bears have than if he's on the team?
I don't know that Roquan Smith translates to wins.
Exactly.
He's not a quarterback. He's not a prime position player. I mean, is the defense better without Roquan Smith? No.
But is he that? For the money that he wants, is he that difference maker?
Yeah, he's not. And you look at all the needs that the Bears have going into this offseason. Yes, they're going to have a $100 million contract, but you have to think about trying to pay Roquan Smith something that, that he deserves. Darnell Mooney, you're going to have to pay that guy soon. And if he has a breakout year this year, his price tag is only going to go up. There's Jalen Johnson. I think his contract year is coming up soon.
Yep.
So you have to think about all the guys that you have to pay. If you're going to give Roquan Smith $20 million per year, you are saying that you're basically a off-ball linebacker away from winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
And that's just not the case with the Bears.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not. I truly believe that you can. Man, I don't want to say anything that's too crazy, but I think you could draft another Roquan Smith, or at least something close to Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
In the second or third rounds. I believe Roquan Smith deserves to get paid. I believe he definitely deserves to get paid, but just not that kind of money. Now, Bruce, let me ask you. Would you rather the Bears pay Roquan $20 million per year, just like give in and give him the money, or would you rather them trade him?
Trade him. Get as many draft picks and assets as possible. If you can get, a third, let's say a second and a fifth for him, especially seeing how, I'm so excited about this draft class. I'm so excited about Ryan Poe's drafting moving forward. The more draft picks you can accumulate, the better. And I just hang on to does Roquan Smith, is he that type of player that translates into wins? Like, is he that dominant type of player? And he's a good player. He's had a great, I don't want to say great, he's had a good 4 years for the Chicago Bears. I love, and the fact that he's homegrown. Like, you drafted Roquan Smith. You've seen what he's turned into. You could say he's a top 10 linebacker. I'll put Roquan in the top 10.
No doubt.
But is he that difference maker? Is he that Aaron Donald? Is he that Jair Alexander? Is he one of those type dudes? And
that's the thing. If you're not the premier positions on a defense are obviously pass rusher, so either defensive end or outside linebacker, and a corner. Those are the only two positions on defense that I think you pay premium dollar for.
Yeah.
If you have a generational type pass rusher, which the Bears obviously not too long ago gave Khalil Mack the most money any defensive player had ever made, and then Aaron Donald got paid shortly after, and then he became the most paid. But those are the players that you pay. You just back up the Banks truck to their crib, and you just throw all the money. Those are the only guys. Off-ball linebackers, as important as they are, especially in a 4-down scheme. Eberflus talks about the importance of that weak side linebacker. It's the same position that Lance Briggs played. It's the same position that Derek Brooks in that Tampa 2 defense played. It's a very important position. Nonetheless, it's an off-ball linebacker. They're not getting sacks. They're not getting interceptions. You don't pay those guys that kind of money. You just don't. I hope this Roquan Smith situation gets figured out. I want him on the team. Just not for $20 million. Not for $20 million. And also the fact that he doesn't have an agent is hurting his case. Like I get it. You don't want to pay them the, 3% or whatever.
Whatever.
He wants to save that 3%.
I don't get that.
But yeah, he wants to represent himself, and it's not helping his case right now. It really shows the importance of an agent and how helpful it is in these situations. But yeah, I hope Roquan is on the squad. We'll see. I mean, he's going to play out this year. And honestly, man, with the way that he was calling them out publicly, I wouldn't guarantee that he resigns here this year, next season, next off season.
And that's his choice, because the one thing in talking about Ryan Poles, it wasn't like you said, Ryan Poles, he didn't fine him, he didn't throw him under the bus. He was very professional at how he handled Roquan Smith. Because you don't want to Roquan Smith is your best defensive player, so you don't want to fracture that relationship in any way, despite how hard these negotiating terms are, especially trying to get a new contract done. But Ryan Poles, he handled that very professionally, didn't burn any bridges, didn't fine him, didn't throw him under the bus, like did everything that you can do in that situation to make him feel comfortable, if that makes any sense, in a situation like this. So ultimately it'll be up to Roquan Smith to be like, I'm leaving because I'm not getting paid, not because of how I was treated by the GM. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's one of those situations. So, and if Roquan Smith walks next year, well, not next year, but the year after, but they could franchise tag him. But
they could franchise tag him.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you franchise tag him at that point? We got to see where the roster is at. We got to see what year 3 is going to bring to the table. And if you franchise Roquan because you feel like you got a chance at that point to win a division, because of the way Justin Fields has developed. So much has to play into that situation with Roquan Smith. So I think it's just best for him to just chill.
Just chill.
So go play, go keep doing what you're doing, and it'll pay off for Roquan. It'll pay off.
I mean, if he has a monster year, then and you're forcing the Bears' hand to say, hey, like, you see how important I am to this defense. It's a new scheme, sure, but you see how I play under this new scheme. Then he forces their hand. And
exactly.
You made a great point about Justin Fields. Like, it also depends on how he develops. Because if he carries this offense into something decent and he has a damn good year, I think all of us are expecting Ryan Poles to really invest in the offense. Which, what does that mean for Roquan? Like, this offseason, you're going to expect Ryan Poles to put money into the offensive line, put money into the receivers. Darnell or David Montgomery is going to be here. Do we sign a new running back? Like, that's something we're going to have to think about if Justin Fields shows that he is who we think he is. So, yeah.
Agreed.
I don't want to be Ryan Poles in this situation. He has his work cut out for him for sure. No doubt. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But hey, Roquan Smith is here. He's going to play. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Get those number 58 jerseys out.
I would sell that jersey ASAP if I was you. Anyway, yeah, that does it for us today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in live. We appreciate you. We appreciate you seeing the beautiful faces rather than just listening to our soothing voices.
Like, well, coming over the mics.
You know what we do.
What we do. Whispers in the dark.
ASMR. But yeah, go follow us on our socials if you haven't already. We do have an Instagram and a Twitter. We just gave away a Justin Fields t-shirt. Shout out to all of our new followers on Twitter. But if you do like giveaways, go follow us. We're gonna be giving some more stuff away up.
Oh, we got a nice one coming up. Yeah.
We got a nice one coming up, and we're gonna have. I mean, we on our last podcast we did giveaways for Christmas and all that. We're gonna do that still this year. So make sure you go follow us. Subscribe.
Fruit cakes for everybody.
What'd you say?
Everybody get a fruit cake. A bear down breakdown fruit cake.
Fruit cake.
You ever got a fruit cake during the holidays?
No. Okay. No, I don't like to mix fruit and cake.
Is that I don't think that's do black people or Puerto Ricans, is that something? I've never seen a fruit cake.
Yeah,
I know we gotta go, but
I think that's a Caucasian thing.
Okay. All right. all my Caucasian people, shout us out if that's a if that's what y'all do. Because
oh my god. Oh man. Talking about fruitcakes. Yeah, I think it's time to end this episode. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Oh,
We love y'all, and we'll hopefully talk to y'all next week.
Peace.